Hi, this is Emily making a video today, um, which I just felt like making a video to share a few things that were pertinent to me, and I wanted to share with you watching. And the concept is being in the flow, and this I've been wanting to make a video for a while. I don't know the last time I made one, maybe in May. And I've not really known what to talk about. And I've also been going really self-reflective internally. And it's hard when you have a lot to share, but sometimes it's hard to know how to talk and what to talk about, and especially in a time where everything seems in flux. It's kind of like, everything is changing all the time. We are going through changes in society, we're going through changes in politics. I went away to France for 1 week where I was not connected to the internet or the phone for 1 whole week, and I got back and I found out that Boris Johnson had become Prime Minister. And I was like, what? In 1 week, I'm off the radar, and you come back and you find out crazy stuff is going on. Like, that happened to me in Africa when I was there, and this was like some years ago. And I was about to leave, and we found out that the terrorist group that the West named ISIS had suddenly been doing a ton of stuff, and we were like, what has been going on? And things just suddenly just flick, and you're like, oh wow, life is so changeable. And that's really what I want to talk about, is that state of flow, because it's something which for me is always coming back and back and back. And I know that I'm pretty much in the flow, but I'm also aware of my resistances. And when we talk about the path of least resistance, it is that the film, when I was a kid, I was in love with the film. There were a few films that I loved, and they were all often humanitarian kind of films, big global stuff, people doing some just incredible things. And one of them was Gandhi's film, and he talks a lot about, in a certain way, the path of least resistance, and kind of yielding to what's coming to you, and being the humble steward of your own presence, so that the other scenario can just flow through you. And in his case, it was so that the society was able to really see their own nature in his very humble mirror, in their mirror, because it was a whole group of people. And so that speaks to me about our lives, in this stage of change, when we have like Extinction Rebellion, this big movement, particularly in London, and been a tiny weeny bit involved, but not majorly involved, which is interesting because it speaks a lot to me, and yet hasn't been on my path to really be. It's not been something I've been able to practically be involved in. But as we look at lots of these different movements going on, I am questioning, what is my flow, or how can I be now? Because there is a crisis of employment, there is a crisis of a lot of the time, whether it's being publicly spoken about, food security, because where is the food coming from? Are we going to get it from genetically engineered producers? And what direction is that taking us in? And is there security? Some of the things coming out about Monsanto, lots of different themes of how can we be secure in our environment, pivoted by Extinction Rebellion, who are raising some really important topics to the surface. And then we have a housing crisis, because a lot of us here in the UK, particularly in the south and particularly in and around London, cannot afford to live here. And I found out today that where I live, St Albans, is potentially, factually, the second most expensive place to live outside of London. So to just survive, you need to pay your rent and to buy your food. And if you can get an allotment or a garden, then to grow your food, but then you need to have the time to do all of that. So it's like, how do you manage to earn enough money and to grow your own food and to stand for political societal change and to develop your own creative skills so that you can become self-sufficient in the future? Because if we look at the state of politics and the system that, for example, schooling system or the health system, so many outcries, particularly around the schooling system, as people are aware that kids need a more mindful approach, and there's a lot of kids going on antidepressants and they can't behaviorally interact with these environments. Like, it's just the capacity to endure it. Not that it was ever that easy. There's stories and stories, years and years of school nightmare stories. But now it's the adaptation is just like, this is too much, and it's all needing to be in a huge state of flux, and it is happening. And it's not really picked up on the main media, and so a lot of us might not be aware of it unless we can be in smaller groups and really honestly talk about things. So with all of that going on, we have to really consider, where is your security in that, and how can we build that going into the future, particularly people of younger generation, because we obviously have a longer life, and some of us might be having kids, and you want to think about how you want to raise your community and your family. So coming back to this state of flow is hard, because when you are triggered by all of these very present issues all around, basically your identity of security and your capacity to be here and planted here, it can be very unsettling. And I think there's that real kind of fidgeting thing where we just don't know quite how to keep our feet planted on the ground, because we are aware, and all of us have oracular skills, and we can to some degree see that things are always changing. For me, my way of seeing the world from a young age was that I couldn't see myself doing a lot of the normal traditional things that were done from generations before. I couldn't, I didn't see myself doing traditional marriage. I didn't see myself doing traditional child rearing. I didn't see myself doing traditional jobs. It wasn't that I actually literally couldn't see it. And now I would say I couldn't see that with my third eye and my intuition. And in my heart, I knew that that the future is different from what is the kind of ABC of the past. It is changing so rapidly, and still it's hazy, like what that all is. But I know that there's a kind of a divorce from the way things have been done and towards the way things will be done, and we're building that together. And so bringing to this state of flow, it's pretty much how much can we let go so that we can be guided, because within all the crises of change, the small crises in our own lives or the bigger crises, because they're all mirrors of each other, in these crises of change, it's really how can we be still, and how can we move as well in the flow, trusting that, because it comes centrally down to the question for me, and I've been working through this the last few years, is, do I feel that I have favor from the divine, from the universe? Do I feel that I am divine incarnate in this human body? Do I feel that I am intimately connected with God and with supportive beings, whether that be angels or beings who've been on the earth before and who've moved on into different places of realms of existence? Do I feel supported by my ancestors? Do I feel supported by the tree outside the window And all of these things is because the more support I can feel, the more I can relax and be present. And when I'm present, I can move. But if I'm moving as a reaction to fear, then I'm going to create more fear. And I'm going to go around in a vicious cycle. And so this very real question of, do I have favor? And am I safe? And am I loved? Is this huge, deep need in all of us. And the more I interact with it these days, the more I am engaging with the mother, the true heart of this cosmic mother who is the mother of all. And that's the aspect of the divine that's really coming to me strongly at the moment. It's this embrace of if I can just think of that, think of her and myself, and look at a tree and do all of that at one time, I can just go into this space where I am like a leaf on that tree, and I know that I am so held, and the movement of the wind it's moving me, and it's beautiful, it's etheric, and it's rooted. When I look at nature and I see the provision for all of the animals and all of the plants, all of the minerals, then I know that it is secure, and it's very elemental, coming back to the fact that we are atoms, and we are supported by our surrounding atoms, and we are part of a big family of atoms. And in that space, whatever risk, whatever failure, and whatever disaster comes upon us, we know that we'll still be atoms. We'll still be moving around in this great community together. And we will be found in love and in the embrace of nurture. And that's the key for me. When I went to France, I was meditating on that as I came across some of my fears and was colliding with them. I realized that from the blessing of the nature around me, I was interacting with the Divine Mother. And everything is this incredible swirling oneness in her, where we are so held, and it's like everything we do is ordained, and yet we always have free will. And it's this incredible spiraling galaxy of the mystery of life, which is just unraveling in every moment. And it's like, gosh, all these other fears, money, housing, food, all these central security fears are just kind of irrelevant, and yet so present that it's like we're needing to focus so heavily, at least I am focusing so heavily on building from the block, the core I am, building from that root, starting with the I am I safe, have I got what I need? And yet from that space, we're also completely projected out into this etheric beauty, wholeness of holistic interconnection with everything. That is such a safe place. It's not like it's not that we need to escape, because I think there's a certain trajectory where we choose connection with the divine to escape our reality because we're afraid of all these things that we don't have or that we need, or health issues or naturally. But when we start to see that actually that the escaping is not serving us, really, we're not getting anywhere from the escaping, and the connection with everything that we're doing in every single moment of the day to support our security is something we're doing with the flow and the divine. And it comes through letting go, because I think the reason why we want to escape is because we haven't learned how to do a lot of our core I am anchoring, I am positioning myself on the earth, I am being involved in society. We haven't learned how to do that very often in a very relaxed way and in connection with the flow and connection with spirit. We've really kind of polarized the two. Spiritual is here, mundane is here, and we kind of we leave society to come and become kind of humanitarian workers over there, or like kind of healers over here, and sometimes we just have not learned how to see it all in one space, all together. So we need to bring in this flow of the spirituality into these very core red flashing needs. The question for me is letting go and yielding to this flow of the river, falling and swimming through it. And that really is in every moment. It's a question of, can I just relax and be? Can I trust? Can I stop doing? There's the action. It doesn't need to be made of striving and fear. Or can I trust that there's a very real pattern at work in the natural flow of the universe? In every pattern of the nature or of our bodies, there's a pattern that flows, that creates. And it's not down to me, and that's actually quite selfish and egotistical to think that I can even control anything. Because letting go of control is realizing that I never even had control anyway, and it's all an illusion. And there never was any control. That's the scary part. It's taken me a long time. Recently I was like, wait, I never even had control. It's not about letting go of control, it's letting go of thinking I had control. And that's deep, and I could meditate on that every day. And there would be endless meditations for the rest of one's life of succumbing just to this embrace of all of life. Can we open our hearts to that, So I feel that sensitivity is where we're going. And we're going to build new societies and ways of doing lives from a space of flowing in these waters, and knowing that that's not ungrounded and that's not unanchored in reality, because it actually is the way that nature and reality works. And we need more of this element of water to help to clean and cleanse us so that we can be more solid and durable as a society, rather than this weird kind of existential society where we're just trying to survive all the time. It's just insane. I mean, as a child, I never knew that was what it was. And growing up, I'm like, shit, like, this is just crazy. But I think we're all in this now, in this present moment, where there's a lot of shock factors to make us wake up and to realize that this isn't what we might not want. So, thank you for watching, and do share in the comments you have any ideas and your current thoughts as well. And I hope this has encouraged you. Bye.